everybody. I'm Kelsey Derringer. I'm one of the co-founders here at CodeJoy, and I'm one of the main on-screen teachers here. You're going to be seeing a lot of me tonight, but I'm not the only one from our team who's here. Matt Chilbert is here as well. Do you want to say hi, Matt?
Sure thing. Hey, everybody. I'm in the tech booth right now. I may step on a little bit later, but I'm here monitoring the chat if anyone has any questions.
That's right. And Amanda Jean Strode is joining from our office as well. Do you want to say hi, Amanda Jean?
Sure, why not? Hello, everyone. Oh, I might be giving you an echo. It is great to be here. I will help you in the chat as you need it, so please feel free to ask lots of questions.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being here, Amanda Jean. And it looks like we've got happy dogs in the springtime too. This is great. Wonderful. Tonight we are going to be talking about Google Teachable Machine, and I'm interested to know if any of you have ever used Google Teachable Machine before. So we're going to share a link in the chat to a Mentimeter this evening. And this Mentimeter, I'm going to launch it now. This Mentimeter, it's just going to give us an idea of how familiar you may be with Google Teachable Machine and with some other robotics things as well. But first, my first question for you is, where do you teach? So I'm going to go over to my screen here. So you can just click on this picture of the United States here and let us know, where do you teach? I am very curious. And we'll see some dots start to appear. We'll see kind of where people are coming in from this evening. I know some folks are here in the US based. For some of us, it's getting late at night. For some of us, we just got done with school if you're over on the West Coast. But there may be some folks from outside the US here as well. So if you're an international teacher, feel free to add yourself on our big map there. We serve teachers all over the United States. We're based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but we serve teachers all over the U.S. and in Hawaii. Welcome if you're coming from Hawaii. That's great. Guam, Puerto Rico. And especially with some of our big summer initiatives, we work with teachers all throughout the United States. We've even worked with some teachers from Canada and other places as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about some of our summer initiatives coming up. But great, it looks like we've got a few different time zones represented here. This is wonderful. Okay, my next question for you is, what grades do you teach? So if you want to participate in this Mentimeter, just go to the little chat there here on Zoom, and you can tell us what grades you teach. I'm curious who we've got here. Do we have pre-K? Do we have high school? Do we have folks who work with post-secondary, etc.? Some folks work with other teachers. Excellent. Sounds like you'll be coming here trying to share that with other teachers. That's awesome. Got some 3rd through 5th grade. Excellent. Okay. Got a good mix of people here. I am very excited to say that the tool that we're going to be exploring today, Google Teachable Machine, I think this is a great tool for kids of all different ages. Unlike large language models, which you have to be 13 years old or older to use, generally speaking, Google Teachable Machine doesn't necessarily have that age restriction, and the data is much more secure. It's not sharing it with outside sources as much. So we're really excited to share this very cool tool with you guys. All right, next question for you. What subject or subjects do you teach? And we'll keep putting that Mentimeter link in there too for folks who have just joined. We're just getting to know who is here in our studio today. So just click on the subjects that you teach. Maybe you teach one subject, maybe you teach many. We'll get a sense of kind of who's here tonight, and I'll go ahead and make this full screen so we don't cut out any math teachers. I would never cut out math teachers. Too important. All right, so we've got some computer science teachers, some STEM teachers. I knew there was a math teacher out there. What's up, math teacher? Glad you're here. Got some social studies and science teachers and an ELA teacher. Excellent. That's what I used to teach, so I'm always excited to see ELA teachers out there branching out, because that was me. I was teaching poetry and scared of robots, and here we are now, you know? Okay, next question for you. And this one's specifically about Google Teachable Machine. Have you used it before? The options are nope, or yeah, I've used it myself. Maybe you've used it with your students once or twice, or maybe you've used it with your students a bunch of times. Let us know. I'm curious to see what kind of expertise we have here in the room. Excellent. Okay, so some folks have used it with students a little bit. Quite a few folks have never used it before. Well, get excited, get ready. We're going to show you how to do it tonight. And if you want to actually do things right along with us, you can. If you want to have any materials handy, you'll need, really all you'll need is your computer and your webcam. That's what we're going to be using. However, if you have a microbit or a hummingbird or something, you can use that tonight as well. However, if you don't have that with you, you don't actually need that to be able to do what we're going to do tonight. You can like still even write the code for your robot without actually having the robot. Excellent. Okay. So my last question for you, this is very open-ended, and it's just what you hope to get out of this session this evening. Just maybe some familiarity with Google Teachable Machine, try something new, something interesting to do with AI, or a way to engage my girls in my program. What are you particularly looking for tonight? Some knowledge and experience? Absolutely. We always try to keep these webinars not just informative, but also experiential. We want you to actually have the experience of doing it yourself. Try it out with a little supervision. That way, if you get lost, you can go, Matt, and he'll hop into a breakout room with you and he'll get you back on track. Let's see what else we got here. Learn how to use it with some robots and microbits. Awesome. I want to learn what it is and engage my 5th graders. Example lessons for bringing hands-on things and bringing in some AI. I always learn something new with CodeJoy. Oh, we're glad you're here. We're here to provide some inspiration. How to help students understand it. Absolutely. I've been teaching an AI curriculum to my students. I'm excited to learn a new way to engage my students with AI and a hands-on activity. That's one of the things that we're always looking for with AI as well, because there's a lot of AI stuff and there's a lot of AI fears, but like, what's good? You know, like what's fun? That's what we're really interested in finding out. And so we're glad that you guys are here with us tonight to explore that. Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to share our learning document with you in the chat now. And as always, if you've come to our sessions before, you know that this learning document here is a very, very valuable Google Doc. This Google Doc is going to contain everything that we're going to talk about this evening, as well as links to learn more about things, videos so that you can check things out yourself, all sorts of useful information. And this is also a document where we will post the recording of this as well. We'll take about a week and a half to edit it because we bring in a bunch of different sources of things. But once this video is edited, we'll upload that here as well. And so this is something that you can come back to month after month, year after year, we hope, and even share with your colleagues as well. So if there's somebody that, as we're going tonight, you're like, oh man, Miss Johnson would love this, share this document right with Miss Johnson. We think that'd be cool. So we'll send it out after we're done tonight as well. So a little bit about CodeJoy and me and Matt, and forgot to put Amanda Jean on there. Sorry, Amanda Jean, I'll put you back. But we'll get into it. We'll start off with a little kind of overview of Google Teachable Machine, and we're going to do a project together today. So the project that we're going to do involves this guy. This is Walter. Walter is a robot. He is featured in one of our shows, which is the Robot Memories show, which is one of my very favorite shows. So this is Grandpa Walter, and Grandpa Walter has preferences, don't you, Grandpa Walter? Oh yeah, he's got preferences. So there are some things that he likes and some things that he does not like, and some things that just kind of bore him. And so with Google Teachable Machine, we are going to use my webcam to train Grandpa Walter on what he likes and doesn't like. So there are certain visual things that he likes and certain visual things that he doesn't like. And we're going to use Google Teachable Machine to figure those out and actually program them using Snap. So that's where we're headed tonight, all right? So first things first, let's take a look at Google Teachable Machine. So here on your document in the middle of page 2, there's a link to Google Teachable Machine. We'll also put that in the chat as well. And if at any point you like close a tab and you're like, oh no, I lost the learning doc, just let us know. We'll pop the link back in the chat for you. But go ahead and head over to Google Teachable Machine and we'll take a look at it. So there's a bunch of really helpful videos here, but basically what Google Teachable Machine is, and I'm going to come back to something that if you've come to our sessions before, is very familiar. I'm going to come back to our Sense, Think, Act model of what a robot is. So a robot is something that can sense, think, and act, right? It's something that can bring in information from the environment through sensors and then decide what to do based on the code that we write, and then it does something. Well, the output of when we're using Google Teachable Machine, it could be all sorts of different things. I've seen people make websites with it, create apps. There's a version of Google Teachable Machine that you can load on your phone, which is pretty cool. We're going to be doing the computer and Chromebook version. But basically, if we were thinking about what this has to do with one of our favorite tools, the microbit or the hummingbird, let's see, in this case, like an LED might be the output, but the input, well, with Google Teachable Machine, you can use your webcam to recognize images. You can use your microphone to recognize audio signals, and you can also use pose recognition as well. So you could recognize different like poses, and if you perhaps you built a robot and it could mimic your poses that you're doing, something like that. Now we're going to use image recognition as the input here. So we're going to use our webcam now as an input. And then in this thinking portion, not only are we going to code it, but also Google Teachable Machine uses machine learning to kind of find patterns in the data that you upload and that you load into it so that it can decide what thing to do. And so for us, I'm going to train it to recognize me, and I'm going to train it to recognize other things that are not me. So there's going to be Kelsey and not Kelsey. And then there's going to be nothing. So there's always a null in there as well. And then when Grandpa Walter sees me, he's going to nod his head yes. When he sees something else, he's going to say no. And then when he doesn't see anything, he's going to stand still. So my output is going to be some motors controlling Grandpa Walter. There you go. To explain Google Teachable Machine a little bit further, we actually have a little video. This is on their website and on their YouTube, but let's take a look at this quick 2-minute video about Google Teachable Machine.
People are training computers and creating machine learning models to explore all kinds of new ideas. New ways to interact.
Yes.
To understand the world. To play and experiment. But machine learning is pretty intimidating to get into. So we've been wondering, what if it wasn't? With Teachable Machine, we set out to make it easier for anyone to create machine learning models without needing to write any machine learning code. When it first launched in 2017, it allowed everyone to get a feeling for what machine learning is all about. But now, Teachable Machine puts the power of machine learning in your hands, allowing you to save your models and use them in your own projects.
So let's say you want to build a model to recognize you versus your dog. You just open up the site, record samples of you and samples of your dog. Click Train, and you instantly have your own machine learning model, which you can use in your sites, apps, and more. You can upload your model to host it online, or download it to work entirely on device.
With Teachable Machine, you can create custom models for all sorts of things. Using images, audio, or even poses. Personalized machine learning models for the things that matter to you. And folks have already been trying it out, using Teachable Machine in their own experiments, solving problems in their communities, or even just at home. Start creating and see where your ideas take you at g.co/Teachable Machine.
So, as an overview, that is a very well-produced Google video about what Google Teachable Machine does, and it makes it look really easy. And I'm happy to report that it actually is pretty easy to do. There's a lot of steps to it, but they're all pretty straightforward. So if you've never used Google Teachable Machine before, I'm really glad you're here tonight because we're going to try something new together. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and go to the Google Teachable Machine website. It is on your learning document on page 2, and we'll also put it in the chat again. But when you get here, if you want to follow along with me, you can either watch me or do it along with me. We're going to go to the Get Started portion. When you click Get Started, there's 3 different options for the kinds of things you can use machine learning to recognize: an image project, an audio project, or a pose project. I'm going to do an image project. If you want to try something else, give it a go. Maybe you want to do an image project with us tonight and then try some of the other ones on your own, but we'll show you how to do an image project tonight. Now, when you select image project, this was the first thing I messed up. So there's the standard image model. That's the one you want to use. I was following some tutorials from Bird Brain Technologies, and in the tutorials, this wasn't an option, and I thought, oh, embedded image model, best for microcontrollers. Well, a microbit is a microcontroller. I should choose that one. No, don't do it. Use the standard model. That's what you actually want to use. If you choose the other one, it won't give you the option to give yourself a shareable link to the model once you've trained it. And you need that in order to program using Snap. So make sure that you use the standard image model. So click on that one. And when you get there, you'll see a page that looks something like this. So you'll see kind of like 3 sections of your page. Over here on the left, there's class 1 and class 2, and then you can add more classes. Then there's the training portion in the center here, and then off to the right, there's a preview. So once you've set up your classes, once you've trained your model, then you can actually test it out. So let's start with the classes over here. So these are the categories of images that you want Google Teachable Machine to recognize. So for me, I'm going to have 2 classes of things that I want it to recognize: Kelsey and everything else. So other objects. And when you're training your Google Teachable Machine, you always need a null. You need a nothing. You need like a blank screen. So whatever your house looks like behind you, we'll end up setting up a 3rd category of that. So you can make these into whatever categories you'd like, and I hope as we go along this evening, you'll be thinking of, oh, this would work great in my composting project, or this would go great in my literacy project. So maybe start to play with your categories, but you want to choose classes of things that you have with you that you can actually see on your webcam. So in my first class, I'm going to call this one Kelsey. In my second class, I'm going to call this Other Objects. And then I'm going to make a 3rd class, and I'm going to call this one Null or Neutral. I've found that in my experiments with AI and machine learning, it's really important to have sort of like a null, to have nothing there, so that it's not being like, that's not Kelsey, so it must be another object. Like, nope, there's nothing on screen. You kind of have to give it, almost like if you're into podcasts, they always have to record a little bit of whatever it sounds like in the room for 20 seconds. We got to do that here too. So when it comes to adding, now that we've set up some classes, I've got Kelsey, other objects, and null. You might say like, you know, Mike, other objects, and null, whatever your name is. Now we've got to actually put some data in there. And there's 2 different ways to put data in there. You can either use your webcam, which is what I'm going to do, or you can actually upload pictures as well. However, one thing that I'm sure you already know about AI is that more data is better. The more data we have in there, the more accurate it can be. The more slightly different data we have that fits within this class, the more accurate our data can be. So I'm going to use the webcam because, as you'll see, this webcam feature, you can collect a lot of data really quickly. Now, in order to show you this a little bit more clearly, because I know how Zoom works, I'm actually going to share my screen. And you'll be able to see my camera through Zoom, and you'll be able to see Google Teachable Machine a little bit more clearly. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, which if you come to CodeJoy things often, you'll know we like never do this, but we're doing it. So I'm sharing my screen now. It's going great. So what I need to do now is I need to click on this webcam button. And on my system, I am in a television studio with 9 or more different cameras that it could choose from. So I need to choose which camera I want it to use. You probably don't. You probably just have one, and that's great. This is set up to work for you. It's not set up to work for me, but we can make it work. So I'm going to choose my OBS virtual camera, and now I see myself on screen. You see me there too. So in order to capture some data from my webcam, you have to hold this button down to record the data. And what you want to do while you're holding this down is you want to turn, you want to move, you want to take up different parts of the screen, you know, you want to like do weird stuff on it. You want to train it with as much weird data as you can so that it's like, okay, all of that is Kelsey, you know, I contain multitudes, etc. So all of that is now my Kelsey training data. And now once I've gotten, and you can see how quickly I was able to put 250 images in there because I was just holding down that button, now I need to do the same thing for other objects. So that first one is good. Now with my other objects, I'm once again going to use my webcam, and I'm going to need to select my camera. There it is. It'll probably just choose yours. Now in this one, I need to get out of the frame. So I'm going to hide. And my lovely assistant, Matt, is going to hold up other objects. You ready, Matt?
Ready.
Okay, ready, set, other object number 1. Move it around, move it close, move it up, move it down. Great. Okay, and I'm going to stop holding. And now we'll do other object number 2. Ready?
Yep.
Set, go. Other object number 2. That sure isn't Kelsey. Okay, great. You can stop. And then we'll do other object number 3. Working at CodeJoy's fun. Ready, set, go. Yeah, that's great. That sure isn't Kelsey. Okay, wonderful. Okay, ready? And the 4th one. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! That's not Kelsey either. That's a banana. Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. Oh, thank you, Matt. That was lovely. I'm going to put this one back over here. All right. We like our fruit and plants and shoes here at CodeJoy. So I've now trained these 2 different classes of data. There's things that are Kelsey and things that are other objects, right? And now for the 3rd one, which is null, nothing, now once again, I need to hide. So I'm gonna, I gotta load up my webcam first. I jumped the gun. Okay, and here. Okay, now I'm going to hide. So I hide and I hit record and I'm not in the frame. So there's nothing on screen and I'm gonna load 100 images or so. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so now if I zoom out here a little bit, we'll see that I have 3 different classes of images. Things that are Kelsey, things that are other objects, and things that are neither. So once I've gotten those 3 classes of objects defined and I have plenty of data in them, I can train my model. Now, when you're training your model, don't click anywhere else. Like don't deactivate the tab. It says that too. It says don't switch tabs. Don't do it. Just twiddle your thumbs. Hum a song, look at a crocus, you know, it's spring, go pet your dog. This takes like 30 seconds. It doesn't take that long, but don't navigate away from that tab. You'll have a bad time. So once you have finished training your model, then I'm going to load my camera again because over here on the side, I'll zoom back in on it a little bit. Now it's showing what's on the screen. Is it Kelsey? Yes, it is. Now I'm going to hide and not put anything on the screen. It was null, right? And I'm just peeking up to look at it. It's like, there's some other object in there. Okay, now I'm going to hide. Will you hold up an object, Matt?
Sure.
Okay. Another object, yay! How about a different other object? Yeah, that's also another object. And we put it down, and then it's, yep, that's another object, you got it. But when I come back on screen, it's Kelsey. It's pretty cool, right? It's pretty neat. It works like really well. So I'm going to come back to Zoom. I'm going to come on back to Zoom. Let me know in the chat. Is it working? Did you do it? Does it recognize your face or your shoe or your apple or whatever you put up there? Give me some feedback in the chat, everybody. Is your Google Teachable Machine working? I'm going to stop my screen share here. There we go. All right, they're coming in. This is great. Are those Amanda Jean's shoes, asks Carrie. They are. Mine are too big to fit on screen. They're gigantic. This is my first webinar, says Mike, but it won't be my last. These are fun. Thanks. Glad you're having a good time. It works for me, says Sarah. That is wonderful. Great. Okay. So once you've gotten that to work, now comes the fun part. Now that you've trained this model to recognize the different things that you wanted it to recognize, now we are going to actually take this data and do something with it. So I'm going to bring this back just on part of my screen here. And in the top portion of where it says preview, there's a button that says export model. And that's what you want to do. So once you've finished training your model, oh, and by the way, if you're testing it out and you're like, man, it keeps confusing me for a banana, go back and retrain it. Take out some of the data that you think might be causing that noise. Try to add in some more data that you think would be relevant. There we go. Carrie says, yeah, I always forgot to do the null part when the kids were doing their Lego ocean animal versus plastic. That sounds like a great project. And that's the thing you got to remember for sure. But once you have it and it's working like you want it to work, then you can export the model. And this is why you've got to use that traditional image recognition model, because you want the ability to upload a shareable link. There you go. So you'll select that option, upload shareable link, and then you'll say upload my model, and it'll take a couple seconds. But after those few seconds where it says your shareable link, that's your link. You want to keep that one right there. Bing, bing, bing. That guy. That's your guy. You want that link, and we're going to use that to do some stuff in Snap. So don't close this page down. Keep it open if you can. Also, I'm going to copy that link and maybe just paste it somewhere else. Paste it in like an email or something. You want to keep that link. You could paste it in the chat here if you want to. I'm just going to paste it in this other document that I have off to the side. That link is super important. But for now, I'm going to come on back to our Google document here because this was all the Google Teachable Machine part of it. So we selected what type of project we wanted to do, image recognition. We defined our classes. We added image samples. We trained the model. We tested it for accuracy, and then we exported it. I know, you're like, 6 steps sounds like a lot, but that only took 10 minutes, and it was pretty fun. Pretty cool, right? So now you've got this model that you've trained. So what are you going to do with it? You could do lots of stuff. We're going to do robots because that's what we like here. So we're going to use a robot as the output of this model. So from now on, we're going to be working in Snap. Snap is going to be our is where we're going to actually write some code and program and tell our robot what to do with this model data that we've created. So you're going to go to snap.birdbraintechnologies.com, and we'll put that link in the chat as well. But this is now down on page 5 of your learning document. So you'll go to snap.birdbraintechnologies.com, and if you happen to have a robot with you, great. You can find your robot and go through that Bluetooth thing. If you've got a hummingbird in Bluetooth mode, if you've got a microbit, you could also put that in Bluetooth mode. The same thing that you do with a hummingbird or a finch, same file actually. You just plug in the battery pack. But I'm going to skip that part for now. I'm just going to go to code first. This is actually a fairly new feature of Snap from BirdBrain, and I love it. You don't have to have a robot to code a robot anymore. This is such a great feature. I'm so proud of BirdBrain. I'm so happy that they made this. Okay, so I'm going to choose a single hummingbird here. So once you get to this screen, this is what Snap looks like. And I know a few people here have definitely used Snap because I've taught you how to do it personally. Some of you may not have used it yet. It's a really great programming language. Furthermore, it's a very like low floor, high ceiling. This is that high ceiling. Because this is open source software out of UC Berkeley, people can build stuff on top of it really easily. So that's part of what makes it really cool. So we're going to end up working in Snap. However, in order to work in Snap, we're going to load in a sample project. BirdBrain has done a lot of the work that we need to do already for us. So instead of us building a program from the ground up, we're going to start with one that's already got a little stuff, a few things built into it. So I'm going to come back here to our learning document, and the BirdBrain part, this is in step 2, you're going to set up Snap to use your model. Now there's two kind of options here. If you're going to be using a Hummingbird or a microbit, you would download this file. I've got a Hummingbird, so I'm going to do that one. But if instead you were using a Finch robot, you would download this file. They're just different versions of the same sort of sample project. One has Hummingbird blocks loaded in, the other one has Finch blocks loaded in. So I've taken you directly to the part of the page that you need. So if you're on the Hummingbird one, the file that you need to download is this snap image recognition for browser, because we're at snap.birdbraintechnologies.com. So I'm going to download this file. I'm going to put it in my downloads. I'll give it that super long, cool name, Web Machine Learning Video Hummingbird Update. Cool name, bro. I'm going to save that file to my computer. And now, once I've downloaded that file, I'll come back to Snap. And I'm going to open that sample project in Snap. So the way that you open a project that you already have in Snap is you go to this little paper with the corner folded over there, and you go to Open. So since that file, that sample project file, is saved to my computer, I'm going to go to my computer and find it. There it is. Web Machine Learning Video Hummingbird Update, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to double click on that and look at this. There's already a project with a bunch of cool stuff ready to go, so you don't have to do it from the ground up. Now, I'm also going to zoom out my blocks a little bit because this is a little large. We don't actually need to see much of the code, so I'll do it at like 1 scale. Okay, this is kind of small. I should make it a little bit bigger. Let's do maybe 1.2. That might do it. That's a little bit better. Okay, hopefully you're seeing this on your screen as well. There's 3 things we need to do once we've loaded that file. Number one is loading the file. Number 2 is in your settings, you're going to enable JavaScript extensions. So in the little settings block there's a little checkbox that says JavaScript extensions. We've got to enable that because this program is using JavaScript. So if I go back to the settings now, I see that that is clicked. JavaScript extensions. That's very important. And finally, so part 1 was load in the sample project, make your life easier. Part 2 was enable JavaScript settings. Part 3 is remember that link that you got from Google Teachable Machine? This guy? If you have copied and pasted something else, go ahead and copy that link again because you're going to paste it into Snap right here. At the very top of your screen, there's this orange block that says set URL to. This is part of what BirdBrain has set up for you so that you can just paste your URL in there. Control V. And once I've pasted that in there, I need to run this code. And to do that, you just click on it. And when the code runs, it glows very briefly to tell you that it's running. And then you get this little message. Hopefully it says model loaded successfully. And the crowd goes wild. The model has loaded. So the model has loaded successfully. And if you have a robot hooked up, you could hit the space bar and it would either, it wants to use my camera, it could do that. That's fine. It could use my camera, but if I had a Hummingbird hooked up to it, it would basically show me whether it's recognizing Kelsey, other object, or null. Now it is seeing my webcam here, but it's actually seeing like way over here oh, it's above my head maybe? Yeah. My cameras are too fancy for Snap. Snap doesn't know what to do with it. So to show you what this actually looks like, once you've, at this point then in Snap, you would be able to write your own code. So what do you want your robot to do? You'd put that in this conditional statement down here. But to show you what this actually looks like, we're going to go over to my other computer. This is going to be a bit like a cooking show where I now pull out the fully baked lasagna. Here's the fully baked lasagna. So here's my Snap screen here. I know everything's really tiny, But what you're actually going to see is when I press the space bar, you're going to see on Snap how it's using my webcam. And because it's seeing me, I have programmed Walter to nod yes. However, if I get out of the frame, he'll calm down. Yep. And if I show him an other object, he says no. He doesn't like plants. How about, do you like apples? No, he doesn't like that either. Do you like bananas? No, not a fan of bananas. How about exercise? No? Bummer, buddy. How about your friend Kelsey? I trained him to like me. So, as you can see, that this code, it's as complex or as simple as you want it to be. If I zoom in on my code a little bit here, it'll be kind of hard to see, but I'll zoom way in on it just so you can get a sense of what I did to write this code. Over here, I've got a yes bit of code, which is setting his position servos to position servo 1 to 85 and then 90 degrees. That's saying yes. Here we've got his no code, which is setting position servo 2 to 85 and then 95. That's the back and forth, no. I've also coded him to look around. But this right here, this is the business end of the code right here. So if item 1, now in this code, you can see over here I've got this table here. Item 1 is Kelsey, item 2 is not Kelsey or other objects, and then item 3 is the null there. And so if item 1, if it's feeling over a 75% confidence level, it's going to make it do the yes and wait 2 seconds so that it has enough time to do it. If it goes to item 2, which is not Kelsey, if item 2 has a confidence level of over 75%, it's going to broadcast no and wait for 2 seconds. And if it's neither Kelsey or not Kelsey, it broadcasts center, which is just going to this center part here. So I'll demonstrate that one more time. I'll hit my space key. And I think this is actually a really interesting part of the code here. I'll actually do the step-by-step so you can see which parts of the code it's running. So if I put an object up, here's my banana, you'll see that there it is. It's now running that part of the code. It says, I'm going to run the no part of the script. And if I take this out, then it's going to run the else, the leftover. But when I bring my face back into it, there it is. I'm sort of hidden behind the table here because I made it bigger. But so it's running. I got to get back in the frame. But yes, now it's a yes. So there you go. That's what it looks like when it's working fully, which is pretty cool. All right, I'll come back over to my main camera here. Thanks, Walter. You're keeping it real, man. Hello, I'm back with my whole big camera. So that's what Google Teachable Machine can do, something like that. It can, you can train your model, you can export that model, and then you can build code with it. A couple of quick tips. The Bird Brain sample project that we just showed you, that Bird Brain sample project has only 3 items or 3 classes built into it. So for me, I had Kelsey, other objects, and null. Now in Google Teachable Machine, you can create way more classes than just 3. Amanda Jean and I were messing around with it today. We were like, can it distinguish between 2 30-something white ladies? Yes, it can. It could tell the difference between Amanda Jean and me pretty reliably. It was pretty great, actually. So yeah, it can definitely tell the difference between a lot more complex objects than Kelsey or not Kelsey. However, that Bird Brain sample project, that does only have those 3 classes in there. I haven't yet discovered how to add more classes to the Bird Brain sample project, but when we figure that out, we're going to add it to this learning doc here. So we'll send you the learning document at the end of the night, but then we'll also send out the recording next week, and just check back on that learning doc because we're going to be adding to it as we go. But I have a question for you now. We're going to go back to Mentimeter. So I wonder, Amanda Jean, could you put that Mentimeter link back in the chat? Because I am curious, what do you want to do next with Teachable Machine? Do you have ideas for how to incorporate this into your class? Or do you just want to try it again? This could be something that you want to do with your students or that you just personally want to do. So that Mentimeter, I think Amanda Jean's grabbing it. We'll put that back in the chat here. But I'm curious, what do you want to do next with Google Teachable Machine? There it is. Thank you so much. So you can click on that Menti there again. Again, maybe it's just, I just want to try it again. Personally, I'm really excited to try the pose one because I'm a former dancer and I'm all about that life, you know? Try it by myself first and then try it with other teachers and students. Yeah, just build that confidence a little bit. We tried it together. We're like baby horses taking our first steps. You want to gallop on your own before somebody watches you, for sure. I love the classroom connections with Is It Compostable? Thanks for such wonderful ideas. Oh, great. Yeah, we're really getting into not only AI, you know, we've been doing coding and robotics for years, but we've been getting into AI over the past couple years, and we're really getting into outdoor learning as well. Some very exciting developments are going to be coming your way from CodeJoy in the next 6 to 12 months. So, you know, stay tuned. But the Is It Compostable, that was I heard about a school who bought a really expensive sorting machine for trash. And I thought, I bet we could build that with Google Teachable Machine. I bet they didn't have to buy that expensive trash sorter, but okay, what else? Something with microbits and maybe some make code. We've made some tiny drummers. Ah, excellent. Yeah. You know, I don't yet know how Google Teachable Machine might interface with make code. If any of you have ideas or experience with that, please do drop that in the chat. For now, what we know how to do is Google Teachable Machine and Snap. But if there's other ideas out there, that'd be great.
In the chat, Amanda Jean was recommending Create AI.
Oh yeah,
for
Create
MakeCode,
AI.
Which is very, very similar. It seemed to be MakeCode's answer to Teachable Machine.
Yep. Yep, and specifically if you're using microbits, Create AI is great because it doesn't actually use the webcam as an input. It uses the microbit as an input, and you can train new gestures, which is kind of cool. I'd like to try making our own Walters and using this. Yeah, stay on the Zoom for a sec, because either Matt or Amanda Jean, whoever gets to it first, maybe you can find the LittleBot tutorial on the BirdBrain site. There's a tutorial that'll teach you how to make your own LittleBot. So LB is a LittleBot, Walter is a LittleBot, Grandma Dottie is a LittleBot. We were actually just listing all of our LittleBot characters earlier today, and I think there's DJ Flora, who's part of Robot DJ. She's one of them too. I really want my students to use it to create their own self-assessments. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe they're looking for certain visual things in their papers or their art projects. Yeah. I have an activity where they focus on recreating another group's Lego shape. The goal is to write very detailed directions. This would be a nice extension activity for it. Yeah, maybe is yours similar enough to be counted as that Lego shape by Google Teachable Machine? Would it count it? That's interesting. I've used Teachable Machine to teach my students about supervised machine learning and updated data sets to improve predictions. I love that element of both Google Teachable Machine and also Create AI, how it shows you those confidence levels on screen, because it reinforces something that I think is easy to forget, which is that AI is just guessing. It's a pattern recognition automation tool, right? And it can recognize patterns. If you're in a large language model, it can recognize patterns in language. If you're using a webcam, it can recognize image patterns. But it's imperfect, right? We included something on the Google document about Dr. Joy Bulamwini. She's been doing some amazing work with the Algorithmic Justice League, thinking and talking and sharing and writing poetry and giving TED Talks, writing books all about how, especially with image recognition, the consequences of bad data are high, right? And they really can affect people if you don't have complete data sets or if you have biased data sets. The output of that really does affect real people, affect real kids, affect real communities. Yeah. And then last one here, I'd like to incorporate this into a robot petting zoo. What's up? We're going to be doing that this summer together. Yes, we are so excited to incorporate some Google Teachable Machine into our robot petting zoo projects this summer for Pathfinders. Excellent. Could it analyze code, someone wonders? Maybe tell if a code has 2 or more event handlers in it or not? You know, I think Teachable Machine really focuses on webcam and microphone. However, there are AI tools out there that can read and analyze code. So like Microsoft Copilot, really good at that, can analyze for certain things. I was even at the Pete and C conference in Pennsylvania in February, sat in on a session, and that's actually really common in a lot of classroom management tools, learning management systems, that's the word I was looking for. So the ability to like read through something and be like, does this have more than one event handler? Does this have more than one variable? Microbit also just released something, and I forget what it's called, but it does that. I got it in an email. I think it's still in beta. Stay tuned. There is a version of a MakeCode Microbit thing that does that. I can't remember what it's called, but it's in my email inbox, and I bet we're going to do a webinar on it. So stay tuned for that one. Okay, so my last question for you. What are your big takeaways from our session today? Maybe it's a feeling that you have right now, an idea that you have, an excitement to try something new, a concern. What are your takeaways from our session today? Cool. What are your big takeaways from today? I love that. Yes, AI is not just for the grown-ups, although there are some parts of AI that should just be for the grown-ups because they're not safe and they're not classroom ready. This isn't one of those. Google Teachable Machine, it seems very reliable, very limited. There's a lot of information out there about data privacy and how this isn't being stored in a communal data dump, that it's a very limited way that they're storing the data. Young kids can be empowered not to just use AI, but create something with AI. I love that. Excitement to show it to my students. I'm excited for you too. Excited to try it with teachers and students. Super thankful for the creativity and the real application of what is shared. As always, inspiring. Yay, can't wait to share. Awesome. How to use Teachable Machine with kids. Hey, and this person wants to try Snap. Snap is one of our favorite coding languages, I think, for a lot of reasons. One of the big ones being it's got this open source thing going for it. So if you learn to use Snap, you get to use stuff that people make on top of Snap, right? So like it's like, I don't know, I'm blanking on an analogy, but if you learn to use Snap, that's the basis for a lot of cool stuff. And a lot of times when people are trying something new, they'll do their proof of concept in Snap. In fact, the first version of CodeJoy Live, which is our interactive student show with kids, the first version of that we ran on Snap because it's open source and cool people can try interesting things on it. So if you learn to use Snap, you'll have access to some really cool cutting edge stuff. This is a great way to teach AI and why it's a good tool, but not to be copied and turned in. Yeah, it's a great tool to use to do stuff, but it's not just, I think this kind of changes the emphasis from what LLMs do. LLMs can write stuff for you. Well, this can recognize things for you, but Matt was just reading a book recently where it was trying to reframe artificial intelligence. It's like, that's kind of a misnomer. It's just automation. It's allowing us to automate different kinds of tasks. And this is allowing us to automate image recognition, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. I like how Matt describes Snap. It was developed at the same time as Scratch, but just stayed a little scrappier. Yeah, they didn't finish the edges on it, and I think that's kind of cool, actually. Excellent. Well, awesome. With our last couple minutes here, just kind of going back through the last parts of our learning document here. This was an overview of our Walter project that you saw. And then here on the very last page, What's coming up next with CodeJoy? Well, next month in April, we're going to be co-hosting a webinar with our friends at BirdBrain Technologies. We're going to be really getting into animatronics. So we're going to be talking about how to make your own LB, talking about that, talking about puppetry and the connections with that, which Matt is literally fist pumping about in the background right now, because that was his interest in robotics. But also, BirdBrain has a new project pack, which makes it even easier to start with animatronics, to like create things like the XY axis of movement in moving heads and things like that. So definitely come back next month to dive into animatronics a little bit. We've also got some free student shows coming up in April. We're going to be doing Robot DJ. We didn't do it much last year because our sound system was not up to snuff, but we're in a whole new system, we're in a whole new studio. So we're going to be doing some Robot DJ this year at the end of April. So I hope you can register and attend that with us. But the thing I really want you to take away with you is this very last thing. Summer Infosys Pathfinders is open. Sparkles and fireworks and pew, 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 pew. It's open and it's huge. So this year we're going to be teaching 3 different courses. We're doing a robot petting zoo course, we're doing microbit in the wild, and we're doing AI literacy and ethics. And we're going to dive deeper into things like Google Teachable Machine, but also take a look at a number of different frameworks for understanding Google Teachable Machine. So on this Pathfinders bit here, you can click on that register here at the bottom. That'll tell you more about it. Some of the most exciting things I think about this are that with both Robot Petting Zoo and Microbit in the Wild, not only are all of these courses free for you to attend, but with Robot Petting Zoo and Microbit in the Wild, you get free stuff. So if you register, you get a free Hummingbird robotics kit sent to your house for Robot Petting Zoo, or for Microbit in the Wild, you get 10 microbits. So you get some free stuff shipped to your house, plus all that free training. This summer, we're continuing to kind of innovate on the format of these. The main instruction will take place over 3 3-hour sessions. The Hummingbird ones, the Robot Petting Zoos in June, Microbit in the Wild and AI are in July and August, sort of at the end of the summer. And then we're also doing webinars every Friday for a few hours to kind of fill in some extra things. So we're going to get deeper into Google Teachable Machine and Create AI. We're going to be talking about, I think one of our sessions is about how to get things funded through like different crowdsourcing platforms, things like that. So definitely check out Pathfinders, share it with your teachers, your fellow teachers. They don't even have to be in the same state as you. To qualify for Pathfinders, you have to be a teacher who is in either a public or a public charter school, either of those count, or a community library. So if you know someone who runs community library programming or does work like that, they would qualify as well. So if you're in any of those categories, you qualify. Unfortunately, you're only allowed to take 1 course with us this summer unless you want to pay for the other courses, but 1 course is totally free, sponsored by the Infosys Foundation USA. So if you guys have any questions about that, or about Google Teachable Machine, or about anything else, we're here to hang out for a few minutes. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. It was a real pleasure learning and working and laughing with you guys tonight. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.